Well, hey everyone, my name is Nathan Jones, and if you're new here, welcome. I like to talk about all things movies, specifically Blu-rays, but today we're doing another film journey, and today I have my good friend Justin, uh, who is Rhine1988 on YouTube. I am so happy to finally meet you, buddy. How are you doing?
I am doing great. Thanksgiving was great. How was your Thanksgiving, first of all?
My Thanksgiving was done all over Zoom, very much like
Oh,
this.
yeah. Yeah, I live with my dad, so we had our little small Thanksgiving, but yeah, it was good nonetheless. I want to say thank you for having me a part of this film journey. I've been a fan of your channel for a long time, and I love what you're doing, for the community with the film journeys and now your book journeys. So I just thank you so much for having me a part of this.
Well, I mean, it's all about my friends, and I think that's what I like to showcase is it's not really. I mean, I'm maybe the conduit, right, or the person who's putting up these things. But at the end of the day, I want to hear what my friends have to say about films they're watching, the stuff that they remember, the things that they're looking forward to in the future. It's all really fantastic, and it's something that I'm going to continue to do. And I hope to do this in the future as well. Kind of see where everyone's at. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I will, and I'll probably mention this a couple times throughout the video or throughout the journey, but I'm really, even with 2020 not being the greatest year for everybody, I think the community has grown stronger. And so watching your videos and watching so many, you know, friends that I've made their videos, it's been amazing. So it's put my spirit back up and my energy, positivity back up. And so, I just thank all of you guys for the content you've been putting out. And again, the community is a lot stronger now.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more that I feel like this is because of the pandemic and because of a lot of the things going on in 2020. I mean, politic wise, maybe with everyone figuring out situations with long distance, friendships, relationships, whatever that looks like. I think this has really put a lot of things in perspective. I think a lot of people, maybe there's like a sphere of negativity going on around the world right now. And I feel like this is just, one of those really nice things that we have for each other to kind of add a little that positivity into each of our lives. And I think that is something that you can't trade anything for that. And I'm very, very happy and also very, very lucky to have friends, such as yourself and everyone who's been on this and everybody who's going to be on in the future and everyone who's watching this too. I'm very happy about it. So thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, we're going to jump right into the movie journey or the film journey and ask you about your earliest memories with film. Do you recall any particular film or films that really stick out with you?
So so there's like three, I would say, like my earliest memories. Obviously the theaters, that's the first thing I remember. And like two of the movies that I remember seeing in the theaters that I have like a somewhat good memory of. The first one is Hocus Pocus, which, this has become like a October staple, Halloween staple. But I remember seeing the movie at the theater that I was going to a lot before, the pandemic. I remember going to my local theater in '93 and seeing this movie.
Wow.
Yeah. But I also remember seeing it at the drive-in, and that was the last drive-in experience I had, was seeing Hocus Pocus. So, I mean,
That's a long time ago for like the last drive-in.
yeah, and it's amazing now to see that like drive-ins are becoming a lot more popular because theaters are shut down or they're
Right.
just not open enough to go to the theater. So it's happy to see that drive-ins are kind of making a resurgence. So
Yeah, me too. I hope that they stay around because my fingers are crossed here because I mean, the theaters have to adapt in some kind of capacity, and drive-ins are a nice kind of nod towards things that we can do still when it comes to gathering together with friends and watching a movie. But Hocus Pocus, that's a good one. It's a good memory.
I love Hocus Pocus. So the next one, though, I remember this, and I have to give a shout out to my dad because he took me to a lot of movies. He always jokes with me that he would fall asleep during the Harry Potter movies when we saw them in theaters, but he would take me to the movies, take my siblings to the movies. He always says like Rugrats Go to Paris. He stood out to buy
I remember
tickets. to buy tickets. But the one that I remember the most, and again, it's like just this is like vivid memories of this film, but seeing Toy Story in theaters. And I remember just waiting outside in line with him and seeing like the poster. Like that's some of the memories I have with Toy Story. But the reason I bring this up, it's 25 years old now.
Yeah.
And I can't believe that. Like that's just
I know,
crazy.
1995 was just not that long ago.
No. But I remember that, and I saw all of the Toy Story films in theaters except for Part 4. And I don't know why. I think I was busy just at the time. And so I saw 1 through 3, and it was like seeing like the perfect trilogy in theaters and just having memories with that movie and just so many like theatrical theater memories. But like for me, it was, even though I saw movies in theaters, like the biggest memories I have were going to the video stores, and like it was like the VHS day. So
Yeah.
I remember walking in and just seeing like rows of VHS tapes and seeing the cover boxes and smelling like the popcorn. I don't know if you remember that. Like they
Oh yeah, I remember.
Oh, it was perfect.
The shag carpets that each of these places had them.
Yeah. And you know, when you would like drive up to the video store, you would see like the marquees and like the posters lit up. Like for me, those were like the biggest memories I have. And so I remember actually I pulled like 2 or 3 movies. But one movie I remember renting constantly that my mom says, she's like, I really dislike this movie now because I used to rent it so much, is the movie, I don't know if you saw it, Return to Oz.
I may have seen it once.
Yeah. So Return to Oz, for some reason, was that one movie when I was a young kid that I would want to rent constantly at the video store. And, you know, I talk to people now and like, you know, they were like, weren't you terrified with this movie? Because this movie is a pretty dark 80s kids movie.
Right.
I'm like, no.
That's what I've heard.
For me, this was one of those movies where I love it now. I loved it so much as a kid. So constantly renting this and reenacting things like from this movie. Like I would make my older sister like reenact scenes of this movie with me. So I remember that. I remember, so this is like a staple for my entire family, but Labyrinth.
Oh yeah. I thought you might mention this because you talking about Return to Oz. I'm like, I could see a transition here with that.
Yeah. So my older sister, Lindsay, shout out to her. But Return to Oz was like the movie that I rented a lot. This was like all of our movie, like this is a movie that my whole family loves. But as a kid, this was my sister's like all-time favorite. It still is. It's her favorite movie of all time. But I grew up with this and I love this movie. I still love it today. And I love like the puppeteering. The
Jim Henson work.
Oh yes, Jim Henson. I love the music. And
yeah, of course.
I mean,
who doesn't love David Bowie?
Yeah, David Bowie, rest in peace. I miss him so much.
As do I.
I was like a month ago, and you know, this is, you know, I was listening to the soundtrack while washing dishes and singing Dance Magic Dance while washing dishes. But yeah, I love everything about this movie. Like this is, you know, all-time favorite. Absolutely. So that's a big one for me.
It's funny you bring that one up because about a month ago too, because I teach, and before class I like to ask questions of the day and also just show them music. I played that Dance Magic Dance video and asked them if any of them had seen this movie. Only one person in the room had seen Labyrinth, and then you realize how old you are, and you're like, well, maybe this if I keep asking these questions every year, it's gonna only get worse and worse because people don't know, and I wish that would change.
My older sister, so I have nieces and nephews, and the one thing about me collecting movies is hopefully one day I can like share these like love of movies with them. But my older sister, my oldest niece, when my sister was pregnant with her, would put on the Labyrinth soundtrack and like listen to it and like put the earphones up to her belly. And like my niece is the only one that I remember who dislikes Labyrinth. And so it breaks my sister's heart because that is her favorite movie. And she was like, she doesn't like this movie. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
But that's what makes life interesting, I guess. Even if you love or hate, I guess you're like, well, not everyone will get it, I guess.
No, not everybody gets it. I remember working though, like my last job was working at a video store, and a lot of customers would always ask me, what movies do they recommend, or what movies I recommend to them. One of them was Labyrinth. It was like a go-to. I would say watch Labyrinth if you've never seen it. And then the movie Legend with Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
I mean, fantastic. That was always one. So
Tim Curry.
And I remember seeing that movie the first time. And again, that movie didn't freak me out. And people would always later on go, this movie did not terrify you as a kid? I'm like, no. Like, that was a movie. I either rented that movie, or do you remember like VHS tapes, how you would record movies from TV on a VHS tape?
Oh, yeah. I still help my dad do that. I don't know if anyone else out there who's watching this still messes with the VHS, but I know because my dad has refused to adapt to the current situation, even stream. He doesn't even stream. I have to record his cable, TV, his games with him sometimes because he just uses VHSs, and he's got hundreds of those things. But yes, I remember it.
Those are so like video stores and theaters were always big for me as a kid, but the recorded movies on a VHS tape, I saw a lot of first time watches on there. And I always remember like, you always had to like rewind it or fast forward. And if like you were like in the middle of the movie, you had to go back and like try to find like the beginning of the film. Cause I think you could put like 2 or 3 movies on a VHS tape.
And like, how I'm trying to remember how long it was, about 4 to 6 hours.
Yeah.
Depending.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. Yeah.
I have 2 movies here that I remember like constantly watching because I recorded VHS tape. So the first one, and I never thought this movie was ever going to come out on Blu-ray, but when it did, I was like a kid in a candy store because I was just so excited that this movie finally got a Blu-ray, and that is Little Monsters with Fred Savage. Do you remember this?
I do remember that, and that's a really recent release too.
Yeah, Vestron released it. And it has like a whole bunch of bonus features on it. But this was one of those movies, like for the longest time, had a out of print DVD that you could not get, or it was hard to get. And I remember finding the DVD like 3 or 4 years ago, and it would like skip. Obviously, it was a used movie, so it wasn't the best DVD. But my memories were, seeing this on a recorded VHS tape and watching it with my older sister. So that was a big one for me. But the one that I always say is the one that I just have so many memories with is a little movie from 1988 or 1989, and that is a movie called Teen Witch. So this movie right here, have you seen this before?
I haven't, but I've definitely heard of it.
I talk about this quite a bit on my channel. It is one of those movies that I absolutely adore and I love. My sister likes to make fun of me a little bit because I still sing the songs from this. But whenever like my older sister and I talk and we talk movies, sometimes she'll just randomly post like a Teen Witch video clip on my Facebook of this movie. Aww. And so like there's corny songs in the movie now, like a song called like Top That. It's like a really bad rap. And every once in a while I will sing Top That. Uh, but so this was like, so as a kid, one of the characters that I just absolutely fell in love with was a character named Brad in this movie. And when I was doing like my Pride videos back in June, I always said, thank you, Brad, for being my first kind of crush.
Yeah.
Brad was that. And I always tell my sister too, I'm like, you know, if I ever get married, we have to reenact the dance scene at the end of the movie. And she's like, Justin, if you ever get married, we will do that. So I'll have to send you like this, the final like act of this movie. It's a song called The Finest Hour, and I tend to sing it quite a bit still. And I was watching like the YouTube video before we started talking. But yeah, I'll have to send you
I'm gonna
the
have
soundtrack
to.
or you know.
How much did you? So you can get this just like on Amazon or something, right? It's still.
Yeah. So yeah, still on Amazon. I think I paid $13.99 for it.
Oh yeah. So I'll just look into it, and then I can then watch the whole thing.
Yeah, it's a fun like 80s movie. It was supposed to be like a spin-off to the movie Teen Wolf. Do you remember that with Michael?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I've seen that one plenty of times. Yeah.
So Teen Witch was a spin-off to that, and I don't think it did too well when it came out in theaters. But it's one of those movies that, you know, would constantly play throughout the 90s, and I don't think it plays too much now, but like on ABC Family or the Disney Channel around Halloween time, Teen Witch would play. And, you know, Blake Lively, who's in this movie, not Blake Lively, Robin Lively.
You were to say Blake? Yeah, she's a little young for this.
Yeah. Robin Lively, though, is Blake Lively's sister. So,
okay.
Little fun fact. And yeah, so Teen Witch, I recommend it. It's cheesy nowadays for people, but it still holds a special place in my heart. So absolutely love that.
So what was the next step after watching a lot of these 80s and 90s classics and kind of going to the VHS store? When did you realize what was the next step? Was it in high school or college? Did you kind of go in a different direction with this?
Yeah, so high school, I would say my freshman year, I really started falling in love with movies and appreciating them so much more. It was at this time, it was going to the video stores, but renting DVDs or going to the movie theaters, again, the local theater that's still around today, going there, and they would remember my face because every weekend I would either go to the movies or go to the video store. So, even though they know my name, they would remember the face. And I remember for a while, I think it was when like Superman Returns came out, and I went with my family, my dad and, siblings to go see the movie. And the woman at the time who was the manager saw my face and she's like, "It's been a while since I've seen you. Where have you disappeared off to?" But I really started falling in love with movies or just appreciating them a lot more during like freshman year. And then in college, my first year or my first semester at a community college in Arkansas, I took a film class. And I really loved that class. I was introduced to a lot of movies in that class that I'd never seen before. And the professor I had always wanted to show movies that, you might not have seen. So she didn't show like Psycho, which, for me, that's a classic and I love it.
Yeah.
It would show, I remember Marlon Brando's On the Waterfront.
Yeah, On the Waterfront. Yeah.
Great.
It's somewhere around here.
Great movie.
Mm-hmm.
But the one that had a huge impact or had an impact on me was Some Like It Hot.
Ooh, yeah.
My gosh, I saw this for the first time in my film class. Yep, there it is. I saw it for the first time, and I remember we had to like watch it within 2 days because the class was only a short amount of time.
Uh-huh.
But this, out of all the movies that I watched in that film class, Some Like It Hot really stood out for me. The performances, the movie in general, I just absolutely love this film. So yeah, Some Like It Hot, and now it's released by Criterion. I remember having like the DVD for the longest time, and I love Criterion because like many of us, they just release some great movies, and Some Like It Hot's one of them. But then directors were always a big thing for me. So when I was really getting into film, so Stanley Kubrick, love Stanley Kubrick, Wes Craven, big Wes Craven fan, Scream, Nightmare on Elm Street, Steven Spielberg was a great one for me. But the one that really stood out for me, just when I was getting into really getting into movies, was John Carpenter. Huge John Carpenter fan, and
me too.
He's so amazing. I've always loved his movies ever since I saw Halloween, and then I remember seeing The Fog.
Oh yeah.
Which, like that movie still creeps me out. Like I love scary movies, but that one gives me chills. And then later on seeing like The Thing, which is one of my all-time favorites.
That was my introduction to Carpenter.
Was it? Yeah.
And it's still my favorite horror film. So
it's easily, like I thought about doing like a top 20 favorite horror movies list, and that would be on there. I think I've done it in the past. I can't remember, but like The Thing, like I still watch it today. I think I loved it when I first saw it, but I love it even more now every time I rewatch it. And I just notice things, or I notice like I have the atmosphere is creepy, it's eerie, and the isolation is what makes that movie, one of the things that makes that movie so great. You got the practical effects, which are great. I absolutely love them. And then I know he didn't compose the music, but the score.
But the score, yeah.
Like
Ennio Morricone did a fantastic job.
Amazing. I saw John Carpenter in concert when he was doing like his live tour, and it was amazing just to see him up there performing all these classic film scores in his movies. And I remember when The Thing came on, and I was cheering. I was cheering the entire time, but I remember they played The Thing, and that was amazing. And then, of course, the Halloween score, The Fog. The Fog score gets to me.
So this was all in college, right? We kind of discovering.
Oh, sorry, I'm rambling. I keep rambling. No,
you're good.
This wasn't college. This was like, well, falling in love with Carpenter was high school and college.
Right.
But like seeing him live was like recently. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when that tour was happening, because I think it was right as the record store that I worked at was about to close. Because I remember, because he was with his son, right, touring.
Yes.
Yeah. So I remember that, and we really wish that I was able to go to a concert like that.
Yeah, it was amazing. My friends who live in Chicago, Brian and Heather, they Carpenter was playing there, and they said, "Do you want to come down and see him play live?" And I was like, "Yes, I would love to." And I got to meet him at a convention at one point. So Carpenter was a big influence for me as far as falling in love with movies in high school and college. So yeah, I rambled. I'm kind of rambled on. I apologize for that.
No, you're good. Yeah. So you may have already answered it, but like, do you remember exactly when you realized you're like, okay, film is the thing that I love most?
So I would say high school, but college, taking that film class was a big one for me, because it opened my eyes to so many movies that I'd never seen before. And then honestly, it was, coming across YouTube in 2008, I believe, or 2007. And it was such a smaller community than it is now. And I remember coming across like DVD collection videos or people talking about films. And my passion really got big as YouTube kind of went along. And now, collecting movies and Blu-rays, DVDs, 4Ks. That is one of the big reasons why I fell in love with movies. But again, college and high school. So
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that does. And I mean, we'll talk a little bit later on about kind of what the current state of things are, But I do have a question that I haven't thrown to anyone yet.
Okay.
So this is something you might not be aware of. But what are some of your bad movie memories? Do you have any bad movie memories, associations with anything that you're like, well, okay, I won't touch this with like a 10-foot pole.
I watched a movie recently that I was like, this is awful. I could think of seeing, it was rare for me to like be in a movie theater and like want to leave like midway.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing the Robocop remake.
Oh yeah.
And I remember me and a friend were going to the theater and we were going to go see a movie and they were sold out or they weren't playing it anymore. And we were like, well, we're already here. Let's go see a movie. And Robocop, the remake, was playing. And I remember midway into the movie, I'm sitting there watching it and I turn to her and I whisper, I'm like, do you want to leave? And she said, we paid $15 to see this movie. We're not leaving. So I remember that. We talked about it before we started this. Rocky V.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason,
Rocky in the Streets.
Yeah, Rocky in the Streets. And watching the movie, I know they had a lot of heart when they were making that movie.
Yeah.
And the relationship between Rocky and Adrian is still fantastic in each one of those movies. But Rocky V. Especially rewatching it, I was like, this is kind of a chore to get through. I'm not a big fan of that one. I know there was another movie I had in my mind because my friends are like, Justin, you love everything. And I'm like, I don't love everything. There are bad movies out there that I don't really like.
I can relate to this.
Yeah.
Rarely do I hate things.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I will go into movies and I think everybody does this. We go into movies open-minded and we hope for the best for movies. I'm also one that loves like bad movies. There are certain movies that I love that are or movies that I love that people consider bad. I'm one of those cheesy B movies. I love cheesy B movies. And those can be so bad they're good sometimes.
Right.
But yeah, going back to your question, yeah, I remember RoboCop being one. I remember my sister, I love you, Amy, if she's watching this. She wanted to go see Scary Movie 5. And again, there was that moment, and it was actually my sister who turned to me in the theater, and she was like, do you want to go? And I said, well,
no.
We don't have transportation, so we're going to sit and watch the rest of this movie. And
the roles were reversed.
Yeah, and I was not a fan of that one. I was like, you're stretching it a little bit once you get to Scary Movie 5.
Yeah, I still haven't seen that one. Or no, Scary Movie. Sorry, I was thinking of Scream because like this is not a Scream 5, right? There's so I don't know why.
Yeah,
I didn't think so. For some reason in my head, right when you just said that, you have a Ghostface shirt on, so there's probably the association. And then I'm thinking, Scary Movie 5, haven't seen it, don't want to touch that one. So Scary Movie 5, it's just like, no, not a fan. Yeah.
But after you get to
3,
did you say Scream 5 or Scary Movie 5? I kind of had a brain fart. I apologize.
No, you're good. I was thinking you were talking about Scream 5, but
okay.
Yeah, and I'm like, but there's no Scream 5, and then realizing like, oh, Scary Movie is what you said. So but no, when in regards to Scary Movie, 3 is like my favorite, and then I don't want to touch any of the other ones. Maybe they're fine movies.
They're fine. Like I'm not gonna lie, I think I saw Scream, or no, not Scream, Scary Movie 4 in theaters, and that was okay. at the time. I don't know if
At the
I'd go back
time, this was
now.
a long time ago.
But yeah, I remember seeing Scary Movie 5 with my sister, and that was one of those experiences where I was like, "This is a bad movie." And I've sat through 2 movies in a theater where I've wanted to get up, and that is RoboCop the remake and Scary Movie 5. And I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure there's another one. I just can't think of it. And I'm trying to think of other movies that I just thought were bad. I know my friends, my close friends. Okay, I'll tell you. So there's a movie. It's very well liked, and I can understand. And I don't think it's completely bad. I do like the film, but I remember I told my close friends that I just thought the film was okay, and they gave me like the weirdest look, and like their response was like, "Are you kidding me?" Um, Hereditary was one of those. Yeah.
Which I love, so I can understand the responses, but I can get why it might not be, just be okay.
It's for me, it was okay. I will say though, that is a film. I do own it. And every time I do watch it, I appreciate it more. So when I think of films like, okay, the first time, I will go back and watch it again because there will be things about a movie that things in that movie I love. So Toni Collette's performance, fantastic. And I will go back and watch her performance. So every time I watch the film, I actually enjoy it a lot more now than I did the first time, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, kind of taking like a shift in gears. What about your favorite current film? So normally I ask what your favorite film of all time is, but I kind of feel like that's a loaded question because it always changes potentially as we grow up, and as we grow older. So currently, what is your favorite film?
All right. So, you just, like I always say, my go-to favorite movie is John Carpenter's Halloween. I love that movie so much. But I have been thinking about it, and this would be in like my top 3 favorite movies. But at the moment, rewatching it, it would be Some Kind of Wonderful. Have you seen this?
A long time ago.
So Some Kind of Wonderful. The reason why right now I think it's my favorite film at the moment is one, I have just the best memory seeing this. My mom, and shout out to her, she introduced this movie to me. And there's something about the characters I love. They're really special for me. I love them. The music in the film is one of my favorite soundtracks, and I own it. And then there's a lot of touching moments in this film, like very just heartwarming moments, emotional moments. And I'm not one to cry too much during movies, but there's a lot of like happy tears that happen when I watch this film. A couple moments that really just stand out to me. When Eric Stoltz, the main guy in this film, he's in love with this character named Amanda Jones, and he takes her to this museum that he just loves. Like for him, going to the museum is something that he just finds really special. And so he takes her to the museum and he shows her this portrait that he did of her. And with the music and the lighting and just the way it is set, that for some reason just is emotional for me, seeing that. And then the ending of the movie, which I don't want to give too much away with the film. It's been out a long time, but when the character Eric Stoltz, or the actor Eric Stoltz, realizes that the person he really loves is his best friend, and that is played by Mary Stuart Masterson. And so it's the whole ending when he's running down the street going after her, because he realizes the person that he loved the most was his best friend. And it was written by John Hughes, and so I'm a big John Hughes fan as well. And a lot of people are shocked when I say that this is my favorite John Hughes movie.
It's one that's not talked about too often, so
No, yeah. It's not. And I love Breakfast Club. that's that's one of my favorites.
Just recently watched it again.
I haven't seen it in a long time. I bought the Criterion. I don't even know if I've watched that transfer of the movie yet. So
yeah, that's what I mean, because the Barnes and Noble sale just recently happened or was going on. That's one of the things that I picked up. So, but it's a good transfer.
It is. I'm gonna have to revisit that soon. But yeah, John Hughes. I mean, he wrote this movie. He didn't direct this movie. This is actually one of those ones that he did not direct.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, just in general, his movies, he knew how to write characters. His films based around young adults or teenagers in high school. He just knew how to write them. And so I love a lot of John Hughes movies. I love the ones outside of like the teenage films, like recently watching Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah, that one's great.
Love that.
Good. I mean, good time for Thanksgiving, right?
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is when people ask me what my favorite John Hughes movie is, Some Kind of Wonderful is that movie. And even though he didn't direct it, he has a staple. I mean, if it makes sense, like there's that staple there that is John Hughes in this film. Obviously, because he wrote it. And I actually got to meet Leah Thompson, who played Amanda Jones, and I got her to sign this DVD. And I remember telling her, I was like, I love Back to the Future. I love even Howard the Duck. If you remember that one?
Yeah, I've seen that one.
The So Bad It's
crazy,
Good.
crazy movie.
Oh, it is. Jaws 3D. I know that's it's So Bad It's Good, but I enjoy that. But I said my movie that I watch all the time with you is Some Kind of Wonderful. So I was like, meeting you, I have to have you sign this DVD. And so, yeah, right now, my favorite movie at the moment, again, I usually say Halloween, but right now, especially like, getting into good spirits and you want that positivity.
Right.
Some Kind of Wonderful. That's that movie. So sorry if I rambled or talked too much.
Oh, not at all. It's really touching because now I'm gonna write that one down too, along with Teen Witch, because these are films. I feel like I've seen parts of Teen Witch, and I know I've seen Some Kind of Wonderful a long time ago. But it's nice to kind of harken back and remember those moments, because now it's giving me inspiration to watch it, and I hope people who are watching this now honestly are thinking about like, oh yeah, it's been a while since I've seen that one. So that's what's so wonderful about these kind of conversations.
I agree with that. And we get to meet fellow movie lovers who have different likings, and we can talk about them and then watch them ourselves. So I will say Some Kind of Wonderful. Another thing that, obviously me growing up, I always felt like Mary Stuart Masterson's character, always loving the friend I had in high school or having a crush on a certain person in high school that, I loved and I had a liking to, but, they never saw me that way, if that makes sense. So yeah. I relate to the movie in a lot of ways. And mostly because it was a movie that I saw with my mom for the first time. And so I don't know if she's watching this video, but shout out to my mom. Thank you for making me fall in love with Some Kind of Wonderful. But she was also that person that made me fall in love with one of the reasons I fell in love with film was because of my mom. So
yeah. Well, yeah. That's what this whole series is about, is those memories that you have, that are yours and that you get to share. And it's my pleasure to, kind of just bring them out a little bit and talk about just a little bit of it, so that way people can understand where people are coming from. So yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I guess, where we're going now is thinking about what films mean currently to you. I guess in the current state of, in Justin's world, what do films mean to you?
Like right now, I think it's an escape. I know it's been said before, but it really is an escape. That's a big one for me. I would say I love everything about film, but yeah, an escape right now. Rather that is watching movies, watching something that's, if you love scary movies, watching a scary movie. If you love comedies, watching a comedy that makes you laugh. Right now in November, I don't watch too many scary movies. I love the genre, but you know, if I just need a laugh or I just need something to watch, you know, watching a comedy. But yeah, it's an escape, which, you know, it's always been that way, but it's still currently at the moment with 2020 and with everything going on, an escape for me.
Well, I mean, I think that echoes a lot of people's journeys at the moment, and I think it's something that at the where I feel like a lot of us have common ground
Mhm.
is, especially when we were growing up with film, we could escape, and we continued to have that childlike wonder towards these things. And a lot of the choices that you've shown us today kind of reveal that there's those memories that are still present to this day, and I hope that you can pass it on, you know, in whatever capacity that looks like. And so that's wonderful, and so
Thank,
I'm thankful for that.
thank you, and yeah, yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, but I guess, you know, where can everybody find you, Justin?
I am on YouTube. That's the big thing. I'm on YouTube, but I'm also on Instagram, so you can find me on there. With Instagram, for some reason, when I made the account, it's my last name, Rhine underscore 1988. But yeah, I'm on Instagram. I'm on YouTube, and then I have a Facebook page that I made a long time ago, and I've noticed, like, you know, some people are liking the page, and I think, you know, either next month or the beginning of that year or the beginning of 2021, I'm going to like kind of
Revamp
what,
it.
revamp it, yeah,
Yeah.
and get that started again, and so just see how that goes. But right now it's YouTube and Instagram.
Yeah.
So
Well, I will put those in the description down below for everyone to check out Justin's fantastic channel, because I don't think I've mentioned it too much, but yeah, you have a great channel, and I love all the showcasings that you reveal and show, and like you have a lot of heart with each of the things that you put into your videos. So I'm thankful to know you.
well,
So
thank you, and I'm
yeah,
thankful to know you. And you know, just doing this today and watching, you know, I've mentioned it, but watching these film journeys, they've been fantastic, and the book journeys and your videos just in general, I just love. Um, and I will say, you know, and I've, you know, we've talked about it before, you know, the community, I've always loved YouTube, and I've always loved movies and meeting people. And I have two best friends. Well, I have, well, not two best friends. I have a very close relationship with a lot of my best friends through YouTube. So like Brian, my friend Brian from Chicago, my friend, my friends Doug and Brian, who live nearby here. I've met them through YouTube. So I've always loved YouTube, but you know, again, you know, 2020 has made the community just stronger, and I'm so blessed to you know, met new friends because of 2020 and because of the community. You know, Stephanie, movie chatter,
yeah.
Dave, um, so many others. You, I've watched your videos for a long time, but I feel like, again, 2020 has just been a fantastic year for YouTube, where friendships have been built and relationships have been built. So
Yeah, and here's to more of that, and I want that continued sentiment, you know, throughout, you know, these next few years, and onward,
yeah,
because it's going to be interesting once this whole pandemic kind of pans out, and when we actually will maybe be able to meet each other in some kind
yeah,
of capacity somewhere, and just for like a little while, that's what it's worth. And I mean, even talking like this is a breath of fresh air. So I want to say thank you once again for, you know, being on this film journey. I want to say thank you to everybody who has been watching this, and so I hope that it's sparked a lot of people's you know, conversations and their own mind and their own film journeys. Let us know in the comment section down below what you thought of Justin's journey, and also some things that you've thought about, because we would both like to read that. So
of course.
you have any final thoughts?
Just once again, thank you. And right now, a lot of people are escaping and watching movies, escaping into films and watching them. So, just enjoy what you love, whether that's movies, books, whatever it may be, enjoy that. And just thank you once again to you and to this community of fantastic people. So, yeah.
Well, thank you once again. And I hope everyone enjoyed this video, and I hope you can check out Justin's channel and also Instagram and eventually the Facebook page. But yes, in the description down below, you can follow him there. And so now we're going to end with hopefully you liking the video, commenting down below your thoughts, sharing the video, hitting the notification bell, and we'll see you next time. I'm not jonesing around.